talk, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment's silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes or revisions to the regular consent agenda? Next up is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Greg made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Wes seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries. Students of the month.
Emma, come on up. Emma's a little embarrassed. Come on over here. This is Emma Minor. She was nominated by her teacher, Mrs. Perkins. And what Mrs. Perkins said that she was it was a pleasure to nominate Emma for the 4th grade Student of the Month. Emma consistently demonstrates a positive attitude within school, as well as in her interactions with peers and teachers. She is a hardworking student who is always on task and helpful to her classmates. She is respectful to others and helps in the classroom whenever she can. Emma not only works hard in her academics, but also goes out of her way to be a friend to those around her. She is a kind and caring person and to everyone that she meets, and works hard to make those around her feel important. And she's very proud. Oh, Student of the Month, this is Emma Minor.
Okay, I've got Vincent Roberts. Come on over.
Vincent Roberts was nominated by Mrs. Danner, who's also here in the audience. He is a 4th grader at Fillmore Elementary, and Mrs. Danner had this to say about Vincent. You can't possibly have a bad day when Vincent is around. He is pure sunshine. He walks in with a smile on his face every morning. Not only does he keep a positive attitude, but he is a terrific friend to everyone. He is always willing to lend a hand to anyone who asks, including his teacher. Vincent is a model student who pays attention in class and always tries his best. Other students enjoy working with him because of his friendliness and work ethic. One of his best qualities, though, is how respectful that he is. He asks questions politely, he never interrupts, and he uses good manners. He has an infectious smile that lights up our room. I feel very blessed to be his teacher this year. Vincent Roberts, Fillmore Elementary. Super Bowl champion.
Emily can come up and join me. She's our middle school Student of the Month. So Emlyn Tumaw was nominated by Mr. Brad Laney. I nominate Emlyn Tumaw for the Student of the Month. At this point in the year, it is very difficult to choose someone out of nearly 100 6th grade students for Student of the Month. Just about everyone coming in at the beginning of the new year and new schools had a great work ethic and positive attitude, so it makes it much more difficult. But Emlyn has shown both a great work ethic and a positive attitude. But on top of that, she's easy to talk to and has committed herself to FFA. She often shares with me just how much she has learned and enjoys FFA. She's a well-rounded student, and I get a sense that her journey through high school will include taking major roles in FFA and lead to something very good for her. So congratulations to Emlyn Tumaw. high school student of the month was not able to be here, but Lincoln Hochsteller was nominated by Mrs. Dixon, and she wrote about Lincoln's just generosity in class. And so I'll read what she wrote. She said, "This is my third year having Lincoln in class, and I have him 3 periods a day this year. He's in AP Calculus, AP Physics, and he's her TA during 1 period. It's been such a joy to see Lincoln grow up over the last few years. He's taking a lot of difficult classes, and he's really pushing himself this year. I'm nominating him for the Student of the Month because he's gone out of his way to repeatedly make things easier and less stressful for me. Some examples of this are him cleaning up and organizing my room as my TA, making a new calendar, or just stopping in before or after school to say hello. He also bought some fall and Halloween supplies before school to decorate my room. He even bought some Halloween pencils and candy for my classes. Lincoln is a great kid, and I appreciate his kindness every day."
It is a school night. If you would like to take your children, and this would be the time to do so. Financial update?
Yeah, so as reflected in the cash flow reports in your board packets, our fund balances and our corporation finances continue to remain very strong. Our fall ADM was strong as well, which will reflect in additional funding, which is not reflected in the cash flows that was presented to you. Specifically, we are officially up 45.12 students from the spring 2022 ADM. This strong financial status will allow us to address our current needs while developing a proactive approach to our future needs, which we'll address those later in the meeting.
How do we get 0.12 students?
We have I get that question a lot. We have a homeschool student that comes 1 period a day in the middle school, so we get to count them for the 0.12.
New business. Consideration of approval of the Crane Credit Union Affinity Debit Card Agreement.
Yeah, so we were approached by Crane Credit Union to participate in their Affinity Debit Card program. And basically, Crane provides debit cards with the South Putnam logo on it, and to their patrons who desire and want that. And then South Putnam gets a small percentage of the transactions that are used with that card. There's zero cost to the district. It's just a marketing thing for Crane Credit Union, and it's we get a minimum of $250 a month in donations to the district from Crane Credit Union. So there's no obligation on our part. All we have to do is provide the logo to them, and this agreement that you have in your packet.
Entertain a motion and a second to approve the Crane Credit Union Affinity Debit Card Agreement.
I move to approve the Crane Credit Union Affinity Debit Card Agreement.
Oh, moly. Second.
Lisa made a motion to approve the Crane Credit Union Affinity Debit Agreement. Wes seconded. All those in favor? Consideration of approval of updates to the classified handbook.
As we continue to make changes in handbooks, policies, and procedures in the district, we discover that occasionally we need to make additional changes or slight tweaks to those policies and procedures, much like software operating system tweaks. So I believe this is like classified handbook version 1.03. Just joking around a little. But anyway, there's slight little tweaks we have to make as we go along. Nonetheless, tonight we're just seeking approval of those classified handbook changes that I provided to you in your packets.
So moved. All right, I second.
Wes made a motion to approve the consideration of approval of the updates to the classified handbook. Joe seconded. All those in favor? Next up is consideration of approval to adopt the 23 budget and resolutions.
So annually, we come to this time to approve our budget for the next year. Tonight, we will approve 3 required documents, but also 3 complementary documents that assist in the ongoing accounting and financial stewardship aspects of the budgeting process. We believe that our current financials are strong, and this budget will continue to meet our needs while maintaining the fiscal conservancy that allows for the projects, the infrastructure, and the educational needs of our district. As you know, all the details of the budget and the associated requirements have been previously discussed in other required meetings and hearings over the past few months. we'll start, we'll start with the resolution to adopt the bus replacement plan, which is required by Indiana Code 20-40-18-9, which requires the adoption of the school bus replacement plan. Therefore, tonight we're just seeking the approval of that resolution to adopt the 23 bus replacement plan.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Joe made a motion to approve the 23 bus replacement plan. Lisa seconded. All those in favor? Carries.
The second required item there, also required by Indiana Code 20-40-18-9, also requires the adoption of the Capital Projects Fund plan. Therefore, tonight, and it's in your packets, we seek the approval of the resolution to adopt the 2023 Capital Projects Fund plan.
Motion. Second.
Greg made a motion to approve the 2023 Capital Projects Fund plan. Wes seconded. All those in favor? Ordinance or resolution for appropriations and tax rates.
So this third required item, which is the ordinance or resolution for appropriations and tax rates, which is also known as Form 4, details the budget categories and tax rates for the Department of Local Government Finance, also known as the DLGF. So therefore, tonight we're seeking the approval of that 2023 ordinance or resolution for the appropriations and tax rates, as provided in your packets.
I move to approve the 2023 ordinance for resolution.
Lisa made a motion to approve the 23 ordinance or resolution for appropriations and tax rates. Greg seconded. All those in favor? Resolution to reduce appropriations.
So this next resolution, which is the resolution to reduce appropriations, is needed to maintain the 2023 total tax rate at a level that's necessary for operations during 2023. As we get to the end of the 2022 budget cycle, which is we're coming to that, there may be existing 2022 appropriations that have balances that will not be obligated for the purposes for which they were appropriated. This resolution provides the authority to reduce the 2023 adopted appropriations and reduce and or transfer the 2022 appropriations during the 1782 response period in 2022. So that will be coming later this year from the Department of Local Government Finance, DLGF, in the amounts necessary to maintain, and we'll do this in the amounts necessary to maintain the maximum levy that's allowed in each of the funds for the 2023 budget. It's a lot to say there, but basically it allows us some flexibility and allows us to move things as we need to for that, to reduce those appropriations for 2022 for 23.
Have a motion?
Second.
Lisa made a motion to approve the resolution to reduce appropriations. Wes seconded. All those in favor? Carries. So following that up is the resolution to transfer 2022 budget appropriations. So the resolution, this resolution provides the flexibility at the end of the budget cycle to use inter-fund transfers before December 31st, 2022 to better track available appropriations. This resolution provides the permission to make the transfers necessary to facilitate fiscal management. So as we get to the end of the year, as things need to be shifted from one fund to another to account for balances. So basically it's just an inter-fund transfer resolution. And I then, when we do make those, you'll have a report by the February board meeting of what those transfers were.
A motion.
Greg made a motion to approve the resolution to transfer the 22 budget appropriations.
Second.
Joe seconded. All those in favor? Carries. Resolution to transfer amounts from education fund to operation fund.
And every year we come and request this as well. This is the last budget resolution, is the annual request to authorize the transfer of amounts from the education fund to the operations fund. Specifically, this resolution will allow the transfer of an amount up to 15% from the education fund to the operations fund throughout the 2023 calendar year, which will reimburse operation funds for expenses that are not allocated to student instruction and learning, which is under Indiana Code 20-42.5. This transfer will be executed on a regular basis. Our goal is to do that monthly as we have in this budget year. We will likely, I just said that. Therefore, we seek approval of the resolution to transfer the amounts from the education fund to the operations fund of up to 15%.
I move to approve the resolution.
Lisa made a motion to approve the transfer of funds from the education amounts from the education fund to the operation fund. Greg seconded. All those in favor? All right, consideration of the 22 general obligation bond. The next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a project hearing on the proposed project. If you are interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have signed the sign-up sheet at the back of the room, which should include your name and address. After a presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the project. At the hearing, we asked that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and the topic be limited to the proposed project under consideration. The notice of this hearing was published as legally required. At this time, I will ask that Stacy Barclay, our school attorney, to explain the purpose of this hearing.
All right. Sorry, guys, I'm back. I know those of you who've seen me before going, oh, this is so boring. So, pursuant to Indiana Code 20-26-7-37, before a school corporation may spend more than $1 million to build, repair, or alter a school building that will be financed by lease or bonds, it must hold this public hearing at which explanations of the potential value of the project to the school corporation and the community are given. Basically, the public hearings and the adoption of the resolution is the very beginning of this process. You will have to put up with me for several more meetings, but these resolutions today will establish the financial terms for the project itself.
You'll now hear from Dr. Smith about the process of determining and communicating the project to the community and the need for the project.
So South Putnam, like all school districts, has ongoing infrastructure needs to increase the usefulness of campus assets and replacing items and equipment at the end of their useful lives. Therefore, with this general obligation bond issue, we plan to use our facility analysis to address high priority needs throughout the district. For example, we will be targeting the gravel parking lot, which many of you just saw outside. We'll be targeting that gravel parking lot and related ingress-egress concerns here at Central Elementary with new parking lots, traffic flow considerations, and directional signage throughout the middle school, high school, and central campuses to affect that ingress and egress of traffic. Additionally, district-wide safety and security measures beyond the grant funds that we talked about last board meeting that we were recently awarded will be a priority as well to help beef up our safety and security measures throughout the district. Continued concerns in the areas of HVAC, specifically with our boilers and chillers, especially here at Central and middle school and high school as well. And roofs and potentially Fillmore as well as we look at end of life. Roofs and other infrastructure needs will also be addressed. And finally, as needed, we will utilize the funds to replace end-of-life vehicles if that need does exist.
We'll now hear from Matt Shoemaker with Stiefel, our municipal advisor, about how the proposed project will be financed, as well as information about the effect on the typical property taxpayer.
Thank you. Good evening. Matt Shoemaker with Stiefel. I know the board would have heard from my colleague Luke last month as we went through this presentation. So I will walk through this quickly, but happy to answer any questions that the board or public may have. So looking at South Put's outstanding debt payments as it stands today, we have color-coded all of these by the series of bonds that were issued. You can see the payments have changed from 21 to 22 to 23, and really after this year, you'll only have the 2020 and the 2021 bonds outstanding. But when we're talking about new projects, this is exactly what we want to see. From 22 to 23, the payments are going to increase a little bit. I'll show you on the next page how that isn't going to impact the tax rate. But beyond 23, you can see there's a big white space of how the payments have gone down from 23 to 24. As we're talking about new projects, that's exactly what we want to see. That means we can add in new payments from new bonds without impacting the tax rate. The goal here is that the school board administration has set a tax rate target, and our job is to help the school achieve that tax rate target each and every year. If we go to the next page, the last page showed your debt payments. This shows your actual projected tax rate moving forward. So your tax rate is comprised of your operations fund, your debt fund, and then you still have some pension bonds that are being paid off. So Looking forward, you can see from 21 to 22, the tax rate did drop slightly from about $1.32 to $1.28. But from 22 to 23, there's going to be flexibility to add in additional payments from the bond issue that we're talking about tonight, the proposed bond issue, without impacting that tax rate. Moving forward into 24, again, you can see that there's going to be plenty of room to add in additional payments, again, staying tax rate neutral. Moving forward, one more thing on this page. The reason that the payments on your debt have gone up that are going up from 22 to 23, but your tax rate is actually coming down from 22 to 23 is because of the assessed value growth. The school corporation saw a sizable growth in their assessed value this year. As you see growth in your assessed value, you can actually increase the levy, get additional dollars without impacting the tax rate. Historically, as you all know, South Put's assessed value has been coming down really over the last decade. That's really reversed significantly this year. So even though payments are going to go up, the debt payments from 22 to 23, the tax rate is not going to because of that assessed value, the tax-based growth. So if we do go to the next page, we have shown potential repayment for the proposed 2022 bonds. We're currently looking in the $1.6 to $1.8 million range for a borrowing. That will be finalized once we get the actual interest rate. These bonds have not sold, so we don't know what the interest rate is going to be. But when we sell it, we want to make sure that we're not impacting the tax rate. So the goal here is to hit the tax rate in 2021 of $1.32. It can be accomplished by having a payment in 23, smaller payment in 23, and then a larger payment in 2024. And you can see in your projected tax rate, still going to have a lot of white space in the future. So if there are additional needs, additional facility needs, the school can accomplish that again in a tax neutral basis. So again, the goal here is to not impact the tax rate. We don't want it to get out of control, increase significantly. So we have structured the repayment to meet the tax rate goals and hit the tax rate in 2021. The last page I have for you, these are the parameters that you're going to see in your resolution. Instead of having you read the resolution line by line, we like to just put it all on the page here so that you can see it. Par amount of the bonds, $1.8 million. That's a maximum number. You can borrow any number below that. You cannot borrow above that. So as I mentioned, we're looking somewhere in the 1.6 to 1.8. For authorization purposes, that maximum amount will be $1.8 million. Estimated cost of issuances are upfront professional fees. This number is conservatively high. It will come in lower once we actually get all of the fees, but right now it's listed at $100,000. That would leave proceeds available for the actual project of $1.7 million. Estimated interest rates, you guys have probably been hearing about interest rates this year. They have gone up significantly. They continue to go up significantly. If you look at the mortgage rates, they're nearing 7% when we were in the 2s and 3s last year. Same thing with the municipal market. We did borrowings last year with a 2-year payback well under 1%. We've done some in the last couple of weeks that were almost 4%. So we've listed 5%. This is a worst case scenario. We expect it to be lower, but given we're not selling these bonds today, we're still a month or so away, we want to paint kind of a worst case financial picture here. Based on the $1.8 million borrowing with a 5% interest rate, you're looking at an interest expense of $143,000. Again, I expect that number to be less once we get the actual interest rate, but worst case picture on this page. The maximum tax rate impact, I do want to spend a minute here. This is listed at almost 32 cents. I have mentioned how this is not going to impact the tax rate. We're going to match what it was in 2021. But this is purely based on a statutory formula. The formula that the statute requires us to use simply takes the largest payment that you're going to have in any one year and it divides it by your assessed value. It doesn't take into account that first page that I showed you where it has the debt dropping off. So if we look at what it looks like with the debt dropping off, our net impact as we repay that debt is going to be 0 cents based on that 2021 rate. But per the statute, we have to list it this way. And again, it's just purely a formula. What the taxpayers are going to see on their tax bill is the exact same rate that it was in 2021. They're not going to see that 32 cents. So without people reading the resolution and going, what's this guy talking about? It says 32 cents here. I wanted to at least point that out and have that conversation. So that's all I have. I'm happy to answer questions now or from the public later, but I appreciate you having me out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
We will now suspend our regular meeting and open the public hearing. Remember, if you'd like to speak, please sign in on the sheet which is located with Mrs. Beasley, as I mentioned earlier. We ask that you state your name and address, limit your comments to the proposed project and financing, keep any comments to 3 minutes, and avoid being repetitive if possible. May I have the sign-in sheet now? Again, nothing? Okay. Anybody else? You guys, any questions? We will now close the hearings and reopen our regular board meeting. Stacy, could you please summarize the additional appropriation resolution?
Okay, so the first resolution, which is the additional appropriation resolution, it's for the approval of the school corporation to appropriate the funds for the project, as this project is not part of your existing budget.
Do I have a motion and a second to adopt the additional appropriation
So moved.
resolution? Wes made a motion to adopt the additional appropriation resolution. Greg seconded. All those in favor? Stacy, could you please summarize the project resolution?
Okay, this is required, as I said earlier, when the school is planning to spend more than the $1 million for the building. It contains estimated hard and soft construction costs, as well as cost of issuance, which you can see on the slide that Matt has already walked us through. It also contains the estimated tax impact, which with his explanation is tax neutral.
I have a motion and a second to adopt the project resolution. I move to approve.
Second.
Lisa made a motion to approve, to adopt the project resolution. Joe seconded. All those in favor? Stacy, could you please summarize the final bond resolution?
Okay, so this is the, as it says, final bond resolution, but it's also the last one we're talking about tonight. So this one contains the project costs, maximum interest rate, and basically all the other financial terms that the board needs to be aware of, such as when the first interest payment date is going to be, as well as the maturity dates of the bond. Lots of information, particularly with what Matt talked about, essentially.
A motion and a second to adopt the final bond resolution?
So moved.
Second. Wes made a motion to approve, to adopt the final bond resolution. Lisa seconded. All those in favor? All right. The consideration of the ratification of the 22-23 collective bargaining agreement.
As we mentioned in the last board meeting, we were heading into the collective bargaining agreement negotiations with the South Putnam Classroom Teachers Association. We had a productive and professional negotiation and arrived at a tentative agreement and held the public tentative agreement meeting last Wednesday evening. Our goal in developing an effective collective bargaining agreement was to retain and attract the very best educators while also being fiscally responsible. We believe we have accomplished these goals with this agreement. Therefore, we are seeking approval to ratify the 22-23 collective bargaining agreement with the South Putnam Classroom Teachers Association.
Lisa made a motion to approve the ratification of the 22-23 collective bargaining agreement. Greg, seconded. All those in favor? Consideration of acceptance of donation.
Yeah, with the addition of our incredible Ag Mechanics program, we are excited that the Kohler Company has offered to donate 16 engines for use in the program. I know there's been a lot of work and effort to make this happen, and I'd like to thank Mr. Yole, Mr. Frazier, the Kohler Company, and everybody else who was involved for the efforts in making this happen. It's a great thing for South Putnam. I look forward to all the great things with this donation, and I seek approval for the acceptance of this donation.
Lisa made a motion to approve the acceptance of the donation. Do I have a second? Wes seconded. All those in favor? Motion carries. Superintendent's report.
Yeah, let me get it pulled up here. All right. It's a little slow. Apologize. First of all, I wanted to address that we have started and we've been working on this for several months, but the professional development, the district-wide professional development, and those days that we put into the calendar. Our first one took place, and also the not only the PD but also the curriculum mapping that we're working on as well has begun, and we're just at the beginning stages of that. But as we continue and that process develops, I'll continue to report on that. Second thing is we're still working with the YMCA to staff our after-school care program. And just a little update on that, if the YMCA is not able to staff that, then we will engage another service provider to take this to the next level to get that program in place. So it's one of those situations. There's not able to get staffing like a lot of other businesses aren't able to do as well. So anyway, I have a contingency plan, actually multiple contingency plans if that does fall through. We will have a program this year. Fall break is next week, and this is leaving on a happy note here. I wish all the staff and students a very safe, a very refreshing, and a very much deserved fall break next week. Stay safe, Eagles. So, yeah, have a good time.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
One second. Les made a motion to adjourn, Lisa seconded, all those in favor? Meeting adjourned. Our next regular school board meeting will be held Wednesday, November 9th at 7 p.m. in Central Elementary Music